They don't hate you. They just can't control you anymore. And that, for some people, is the ultimate betrayal. You've stopped shrinking yourself to fit inside the frame they made for you. You stopped dancing to music you never liked. And now they feel exposed, powerless. They'll call you difficult, arrogant, selfish. But what they really mean is, you've stopped letting me manipulate you. And isn't that interesting? The moment you start honoring your boundaries, the moment you speak with clarity, walk with purpose, and make decisions without their approval, suddenly they change, not because you hurt them, but because you've awakened to who you are and who they pretended to be. Let's talk about what really happens when you're no longer under their control. 1. They play the victim. Suddenly, you're the villain in their story. You were once the golden one, their favorite, their piece, until you said no. Now every boundary you set is a weapon in their narrative. They'll rewrite history, leave out their own behavior, and tell everyone how you changed. Not because they're confused, but because playing the victim helps them avoid accountability. And maybe they'll cry, maybe they'll sulk. But that's not grief, it's strategy. They're not mourning your absence, they're mourning the death of their control. 2. They attack your character. When they can't control your actions, they try to control how others see you. You'll hear things like, "She thinks she's too good for us now," or "He's so full of himself lately." This is psychological warfare. It's deflection. Because if they can paint you as toxic, they don't have to explain why you left. Let them talk. Let them spin their tales. You're not here to manage their perception. You're here to protect your peace. 3. They minimize your growth. Don't get carried away. You've changed. You used to be so down to earth. Ever notice how your elevation feels like an insult to people who chose to stay stagnant? Your healing offends them because it forces them to confront their own wounds. You start speaking with clarity and they call it pride. You start setting standards and they call it attitude. But really, you're just no longer available for their dysfunction. Growth isn't arrogance, it's liberation. 4. They guilt trip you. They'll remind you of all they did for you, how they were always there, how you owe them. But love built on obligation isn't love. It's manipulation. They didn't give because they cared. They gave because they expected control in return. And now that the transaction has failed, they're calling in debts that were never yours to pay. Let them talk. You're allowed to receive without being owned. You're allowed to walk away without guilt. 5. They become passive-aggressive. Instead of confronting you directly, they'll drop hints, cold silences, backhanded compliments, jokes that cut a little too deep. Why? Because passive aggression is the language of the powerless. They want to provoke you without looking like the bad guy. They want to punish you for your independence without ever admitting they're angry you found your wings. But you don't owe them your peace of mind. Let their silence be loud. You've already learned to hear what they don't say. 6. They try to win you back with conditions. Suddenly they're sweet again. They want to reconnect, reminisce, go back to how things were. But pay close attention. Their kindness comes with strings. They're not reaching out to rebuild. They're reaching out to re-establish dominance. The moment you lower your guard, the control resumes. Forgiveness doesn't mean returning to bondage. You can wish them well from a distance. Growth requires separation sometimes. And that's okay. 7. They mock your transformation. Oh, so you're spiritual now? Guess you're too deep for us. That's not who you really are. No, it's not who you used to be when you were afraid to disappoint them. But now, you're rooted, centered, clear, and your evolution threatens the identity they built around your obedience, so they'll try to drag you back with ridicule. Because if they can laugh at your light, maybe they won't have to look at their own shadows. Smile. Let them joke. Their confusion is proof you're changing. 8. They spread fear about you. They'll warn others. Be careful around him. He's changed. She's not like she used to be. They'll try to isolate you by poisoning the well, because a free person is dangerous to those who feed on control. But don't be afraid. The people who truly love you will see through the fog. And the ones who believe the lies, they were never in your corner anyway. Truth doesn't need defense. It just needs time. 9. They try to mirror you. They watch your moves, copy your language, adopt your habits. But it's not growth. It's camouflage. They think if they imitate your light, they can lure you back. But you'll know the difference. Because imitation doesn't carry the weight of experience. They haven't bled for this clarity. You have. They want your peace without doing the work. But peace is earned, not borrowed. Keep shining. Let the shadows chase themselves. 10. They play hot and cold. One day they love you. The next, they ignore you. They're testing you, seeing if they still have access to your emotions. It's emotional manipulation disguised as confusion. And it's meant to destabilize you. Don't fall for the inconsistency. Silence their chaos with your clarity. They'll either rise to meet your new standard or fall away entirely. Either way, you win. 11. They bring up the past. They'll remind you of your mistakes, throw your failures in your face, not to help you grow, but to shrink you back into compliance. They miss the version of you who didn't know their worth, the one who apologized for taking up space. But you've buried that self. You've risen, and the past no longer has a key to the future you're building. Let them dig up old dirt. You're planting new seeds. 12. They disappear, then come back when you're successful. It's always the same pattern. When you were drowning, they vanished. When you were breaking, they were silent. No texts, no calls, no visits, just distance. They weren't cheering. They weren't praying. They weren't offering a hand or even a kind word. They were just gone. But now that the storm has passed, now that you're smiling again, glowing again, walking in your purpose, they show up, like nothing happened, like they never doubted you, like they were in your corner all along. They'll say things like, "I always knew you'd make it." But their silence back then told the truth, louder than their words do now. And it hurts, doesn't it? Not because you needed them, but because their absence revealed their true colors. They weren't absent because they were busy. They were watching, waiting. They were waiting to see if you'd make it without them. And now that you have, they want to reap what they never helped you sow. But here's what you need to remember. You don't owe access to everyone who watched you struggle. Not everyone deserves front row seats to your healing, your success, your glow up. Your light is sacred. Your peace is earned. Your growth is personal. Protect it. This isn't about bitterness. It's about boundaries. It's about recognizing who clapped for you in private and who only shows up for the photo when the confetti falls. You're not hard to love. You're just hard to manipulate. And that's your superpower. Because the moment people realize they can't control you, that's when their true feelings surface. Some will celebrate your freedom. Others will fear it. Some will call you difficult, just because you've grown beyond the version of yourself they could control. Never shrink to fit their comfort zones. Never dim your light just so they feel tall beside you. You weren't born to be palatable. You were born to be powerful. Real love doesn't flinch when you evolve. It doesn't disappear when you're in the dark. It walks with you. It weathers storms with you. It doesn't just show up for the victory. It bleeds with you during the battle. So when they come back, all smiles and sweet words, ask yourself one thing. Would they have loved you if you failed? Or do they only love you now because you made it without them? You don't need to hate them. Just don't hand them the keys to your peace. Let your glow remind them you rose without their light, and you're never going back to the shadows they left you in.